Good morning, it's Sunday the 4th of May. I'm just here at the junction of Cowcaddens Road. I'm not at the junction of Cowcaddens Road, I'm at the junction of Dobie's Loan, North Hanover Street. What's the name of that other one? The work on Dobie's Loan is coming along nicely. Once I've finished that side, then they'll start the cycle lane on this side. This is where Will's Bros are based just now for the work that they're doing on Cowcaddens Road and Dobie's Loan. Then this is actually Kyle Street, and the North Hanover Street is complete. Kyle Street will be included in that as well, and then to look at the inner north network, that will go all the way up to Baird Street, so that's great. Great piece of infrastructure, this. And the reason I say all the way up to Baird Street is because that will connect to Royston Road in the inner north network, creating a safe route from the northeast of Glasgow into the city centre. Noisy. There'll be a bi-directional cycle lane on this side of the road, which is the north side, up to these lights, and from here it'll cut over to the south side. I'm just going to go over to the pavement here, and I believe carry on all the way up Royston Road, connecting to the north-east active travel route that I've made many a video about. The reason I'm heading down here is to look under the road. This is considered cycling infrastructure, by the way. There's my tyre. This is the Monklands Canal, what would have been the Monklands Canal. A bit of history there. It'd be good to see an aerial photograph or something of that.
Roystonhill Spire was part of Townhead Church. It was built in 1866 on Roystonhill, which back then was called Garngad Hill. It was built from a legacy of prosperous ironworkers, the Bairds of Gartsherry, who employed thousands at their Coatbridge foundry. James Baird of Knoydart built the church with money left by Alexander Baird of Urey, who passed away in 1862. The church was opened on the 6th of June 1866. Designed by Campbell, Douglas and Stevenson in a French Gothic style, the church featured stained glass windows by the world-famous William Morris Company. Interior design and glass was by Glasgow artist Daniel Cottier and sculptures by John Mossman. The church served the community for over 120 years, with centenary celebrations in 1966. In 1973, the church merged with the congregation from former Blocairn Church to become Townhead Blocairn Church. In 1992, the church was sold to a private company who used it as a warehouse. Despite being an A-listed building, the church suffered from neglect and was sadly demolished in September 1997. The spire was saved after a determined campaign by local people. Sculptor George Wiley brought press attention by creating a fiery cross below the spire to protest the destruction of what he called a £1 million spire, as we could never build this again. In 2001, surveys showed that it was structurally sound and the restoration project commenced, repairing the damage done by the demolition contractors. The spire became the centrepiece of the Royston Road project. This was an award-winning scheme to create two parks, one at the spire and the other at the historic Mullendiner Burn at Provan Mill. In 2005, Roystonhill Spire and Park Limited was formed to take on responsibility and maintenance of the spire and surrounding parkland. In 2019, the Trust made improvements to the Spire Park with landscaping outlining the original church footprint, improved biodiversity and the creation of Roystonhill Community Hub from the former Rainbow Hall. Then in 2020, a public art heritage project that was funded by the Heritage Lottery Fund created 12 mosaic panels for the Spire Park. These illustrate local history, people's stories and memories of Townhead Blacairn Church. The preservation of the spire is a great achievement by the community. The spire has watched over the city since 1865. It's outlasted the 1960s tower blocks and remains one of the landmark buildings of the city of Glasgow.
So that was Royston's spire, Roystonhill spire. I'm now going to head down towards Duke Street. Just passed through it just now. I was here the other day there and did some filming, so let's check that out just now.
Since this video was recorded on the 4th of May and it's now the end of November, what I'm going to do is some comparison drone shots of how it looked then and when I was there just before sunset on Sunday the 16th of November. Probably can't see it as I flipped the direction of the drone so many times in this edit, but the majority of the work on the north side of the road has been completed and they are now working on the southern side. This is where the bi-directional cycle lane is going to be. Looking closer you can see the angled curbs that mark out the cycle lane, and over the next few months we should see the cycle lane start to take shape. Another nice touch is the bordering wall for this park and playground. This project is expected to be completed in spring 2026. Looking at progress so far, I will be astounded if this is delivered on time.
I knew there was proposals to put a cycle lane on this street, so this is actually quite exciting. Just quietly doing it. Not a connection, let's see where it comes out. Check it out.
Tureen Street School is situated in the Calton area of Glasgow and was built in 1875. It was designed by John Honeyman, who designed 3 schools for Glasgow, the other 2 being Rockvilla Street School that was situated here in the postal area of Glasgow. You can still see the stairs and gate as well as a sign here. This beautiful building was sadly demolished after a fire in 1996. The other was Henderson Street School that was built in 1874 and I think it was demolished in the 1970s. It was situated where these houses are today. Another notable building that Honeyman initially designed was the stunning Cadioro building that's situated here on the corner of Gordon Street and Union Street. Rescued and recategorised from B to A listed after an impressive restoration from a fire in 1988. It's one of the many great buildings that greet visitors to the city via Central Station. So getting back to Tureen Street, and we can now see that this is an important part of Glasgow's heritage. It's the only school building left that Honeyman designed, so it would be devastating if the whole building was demolished. This building survived for nearly 150 years, only to deteriorate in the last decade through, in my opinion, nothing more than neglect, as a meaningful purpose was sought after. A planning application has been submitted to demolish much of the building and construct 42 new homes, with the main aim to preserve the original facade. Looking at these plans and the condition of the building just now, I think this could be the best option to save another part of Glasgow's heritage. So from here I cycled along Mill Road Street, up Abercrombie Street and along Gallowgate until I reached this little nugget. Built in the 1930s, the Belgrove Hotel was created as a working man's hotel, and it was used for this purpose until the 1970s. It was a strict requirement of occupancy that the men who lived here held a job. Designed by C.J. McNair and Elder, the hotel is a striking example of Art Deco. Other great examples of Art Deco by C.J. McNair and Elder is the Ascot Cinema in Anniesland that has now been converted into flats, and the Lyceum Cinema in Govan that's not looking too great just now, and the State Cinema in Castlemilk Road that has sadly been lost to demolition. In recent years, the demand for working men's hotels diminished and the Belgrove was brought into a different use. In 2000, it was reported that most of the occupants were unemployed and 90% had alcohol problems. A BBC Frontline investigation reported that $500,000 a year was paid to the privately run homeless hostel by the government, but there were serious concerns about the welfare and supervision of residents. The management of the hotel denied allegations that the hostel was a dumping ground, claiming that $400,000 had been spent over 4 years to achieve a standard of accommodation necessary to qualify for a multiple occupancy licence. Countless other newspaper investigations over the years ensued, with one in the Daily Record reporting that the owners bought the hotel in 1988 for $65,000 and as of 2014 were receiving $1.5 million in housing benefit payments each year. In the same year, the hotel seemed to get a makeover that probably coincided with the Commonwealth Games taking place in the east end of the city that summer. Looking on Google Street View, the hotel probably closed in 2020. Work started in 2024 by the Wheatley Group to turn the building into 14 modern-day mid-market flats, with 56 flats being built on adjoining land. The west wing and rear wing of the building were demolished to accommodate this. The amount of times I've passed by this building and I didn't know that the courtyard in the centre existed. This $20.3 million regeneration project is expected to be completed in spring 2026 and will preserve the facade of this absolute gem of a building for years to come. I then head down David Street, Broad Street and Fordnook Street onto the cycle lane on London Road. Further along London Road, the next phase of the East City Way was due to start this year. That's 2025. This was announced in June, and as I edit this video, it's closer to December. The next phase will continue this excellent cycleway that I've previously made a video about and will link at the top of the screen from Canmore Street all the way to Braidfold Street. And if the drawings become available, I will share them with you guys straight away. This takes me close to Clydeford Drive and what is now the former site of the McVities biscuit factory. The McVities factory in Tollcross was opened in 1925 as the Victoria Biscuit Works and was an expansion of the McFarlane and Lang's Victoria Biscuit Works. At its peak, the factory employed around 1,300 workers. The factory sadly stopped production and closed in 2022, 3 years short of its century celebrations. And at the time, 472 workers were made redundant after the multinational parent company Pladis rejected a proposal by the Scottish Government and Glasgow City Council to save their jobs. The site was part of Glasgow's heritage and local MP Paul Sweeney had applied to have the main Art Deco offices listed as to at least save the facade. When Historic Scotland arrived to survey the building, it had already been demolished. Paul Sweeney said at the time that this was an appalling, vicious act of vandalism. They didn't even save the decorative carved stonework bearing the name McFarlane Lang Company. Although this isn't, in my opinion, the best building that has featured in this video, it's a classic example of what happens when buildings of historic interest are not properly protected by these listings. One day they are gone and nothing is left behind but photos and memories.